Hey everybody, my name is Rydo, and today we are starting Bayonetta. Now, Bayonetta came out. Let me just show you the load screen.
Bayonetta.
Each time you exit to this load screen, a different character from the story says her name.
Bayonetta.
This game came out in 2009, but hasn't been available for PC until just recently in 2017. In fact, it was teased with an 8-bit Bayonetta that I spotlighted that came out on April Fool's Day, and to everyone's, well, surprise, I guess would be the right term, although it would probably be closer to hopes. PlatinumGames, the creators of this game, and SEGA, the publishers of this game, worked together and decided to make a Steam PC release of this, a PC release of this at all, and they've done, from what I can tell, the best job you could possibly do. It's not, as far as I have heard from other reporters and other people who have played the game, it's not done lazily, it's not done cheaply, and we're going to have a great time here. Since this is a good PC port, and often in the PC world we don't see good PC reports, there's quite a bit of buttons and options here in the settings that to talk about. One thing I want to mention though is that this headphone mode probably increases the audio. As best as I can tell, it doesn't do anything else. If it was a headphone mode versus a surround sound mode, so that it was a slightly newer game designed to use like Dolby Digital or something like that, DTS perhaps, to do a 5.1, 7.1, maybe even 9.1 for a very new game, that would make sense, but none of those options are mentioned, and I think all it does is turn up the audio. I'm using a new version of my software, a new setup, so I'm trying to get the audio a little bit different, a little bit better anyways, going forward, and this is probably a terrible game to work with that, because even though I have all of the audio turned up to the max, there are just parts in this game where no sound is going to play, or it's going to be very quiet. You can even hear that in the menu. There's no music playing in the background. Subtitles are on. Subtitles by default were set to Steam settings, which seems odd, but interesting. Tutorial we'll have on until it bugs us. UI we'll have on and off, so I suppose you could potentially play the game without any UI, which is quite interesting. Something I don't believe that was in the original version of the game. And then you have several different layouts of the multitude of things that might be on the screen at the same time, although often aren't. And so it's just, would you prefer to have life bars and such at the top versus the bottom? Would you prefer prompts and QuickTime events to be at the bottom of the top? I'll leave everything at default for that. And interestingly enough, by default this game wanted me at my maximum resolution possible, which is higher than the native resolution of my monitor, but I record everything at 1080p. That's the highest you can put on YouTube anyway, so it's not usually worth the effort to render something higher and then render it down, because that would eventually just add a little bit of blurriness. Everything else I set to the maximum, but by default it was close to the maximum anyways, and we have high dynamic range on and off. Interesting option, particularly since I just saw an article that said HDR monitors right now don't seem like they're really even doing a better job than what a standard definition video will do. And each setting you do here, I'm going to leave it on just by default, changes the amount of video RAM you use. So right now it's telling me it's going to use 1 gigabyte of video RAM. If I turn this to none, it goes down. If I was to, say, come to the default quality, we could get it down to a ridiculously low amount of video RAM. And even at custom, I can still turn it up some more. By default, my video card is the GTX 970, which has a problem when it uses over about 3 gigabytes of video RAM, because they put about 3.5 gigabytes of video RAM that was really fast in the video card, and then they crammed some really slow video RAM in to make it up to 4 gigabytes, and eventually they got sued for that and are sending a rebate. However, since this game is from 2009, the graphics and textures aren't by default like 4K or possibly even 1080p textures to begin with. Thus, it's not using that much RAM in the first place. Interesting that it says how much you're going to use. I've never seen that in the game before. And for recording purposes, I'll turn VSync off. You probably would want it on if you're just playing the game. And that's all we really have to deal with as far as settings. I won't do anything crazy like inverting controls or cameras. We can see the controls for the Xbox 360 controller, which I'll be using, and you will have to get used to hearing a lot of this button presses, because that is going to happen a lot. Almost everything is just on the buttons on the right, the X, the Y, the B, and the A. And there's something for every right and left bump and right and left trigger, and moving the camera and using items. Like nothing for the D-pad down, and something for the pause and the back menu. So they're using almost every control in the game. And that's really all the setup we need to do. So let's begin. Bayonetta. I guess I should warn that this game is moderately mature. I don't think there's really anything offensive. There may just be some sensual talk of sorts, adult talk, and it is a very fast-paced action shooter / brawler, so there will be a decent amount of violence in it. But yeah, there's titillization in it. That's probably the thing that would be the most objectionable, but at the end of the day, I think it would be fine for any 16, 17, 18-year-old to play. Probably growingly more inappropriate anything for kids any younger than that. Let's begin. When we get into the main game, there is this first section that is going to explain the backstory of what's going on, and it happens kind of in this scene that doesn't really seem to take place in the actual story. It's more of a just, I don't know, dream fantasy sequence. There is also, when you first load up Bayonetta, a video that shows you some stuff, but that video gets played a couple times in the story, and it makes a lot more sense when you have to actually know what's going on. So this is really a game you should just jump right into, and I'm taking way too long to jump into it. At the beginning, you can play as normal, easy, or very easy. Now, I can play this game on normal. I can tell you that there is a hard mode after you beat it once. Probably even if you beat it on very easy, you would unlock hard mode. And then a very hard mode that they call climax mode. More of that titillization that goes on. I could certainly play it on normal, but I think you're probably robbing yourself of an experience if you don't play it on at least easy. It makes the enemies have a little bit less health, so you go through everything a little bit quicker, and it helps you achieve some of the more advanced fight mechanics. And if you don't have that experience, or you're not going to really have as good of a time playing this game as I think you would. When I first played this game, I mostly just mashed buttons and felt very powerful and felt very good at the game. If I had just started on normal and had to struggle a little bit more, I wouldn't have grown to love this game as much, I don't think. So I'm going to do it on easy for this round. Again, an example of no audio. These graphics look great, but they are 2009 graphics. If it was a full remake instead of a PC port, I think you could do better. But frankly, I'd prefer they make a new Bayonetta game than just remake the original.
Long since erased.
So I'm in the game, I'm playing this lady in black, and I'm just pushing buttons. And they just want you to push buttons and listen to the story, so that's what I'm going to do.
Dwellers of the darkness, and the lumen sages, controllers of the light. The clans paid each other great respect, and their efforts to maintain the balance between them defended the just passage of time. Yet one day, that balance was toppled.
As soon as the line of dialogue is done, you move to the next section.
Clans fell into disagreement and stoked the flames of hatred against each other, resulting in an era of strife. The conflict between the Umbra and the Lumen threw all of Europe into a chaotic roof of battle, ambush, assassination, and casualty. It was truly a gruesome war. Despite the tremendous radiance of God shining upon them, the Lumen Sages were gradually weakened by the assault of the secretive Dark Witches. Years after the balance was lost, the war had ended in the Umbra Witches' favor.
So, what's worth mentioning is if you have played this game before and you play this on normal, you might notice that this section actually plays a little bit different. It doesn't allow you to do a few moves. It helps you a lot. The game is, whether because it's on easy or just because of the sequence, it's auto-dashing.
The witches' dark abilities, humans began to condemn the remaining Umbra. They launched the witch hunts, rounding up the battle-weary witches with little resistance and subjugating those who wished to continue the struggle. Human faith in the miracles of their god pushed the witch hunts further, and soon the Umbra witches, keepers of the darkness, were extinguished from the earth. All.
So that's the prologue. Now, this game has a interesting load sequence that you just saw pop in and pop out because I have an SSD and it takes so little time to actually load. Some of the backstory is interesting because it puts the witches as not being human at all, the Umbra witches, and the light people, the worshippers of their god, the lunar, what were they called? I forgot. You have a Carmen Sandiego reference, like it looks like. I think they are human, but it's hardly a one-to-one translation to any kind of witchcraft you've probably seen in any other fantasy story, and most definitely the heavenly symbology does not fully connect to any kind of Christian dogma or any religion I've ever seen. frankly. Those creatures that you saw me fighting, those were angels. All of those monsters were supposed to be angels, and they will be who we are fighting for the rest of the game. If we wanted to switch difficulty, we could do that. If we want to see the leaderboards, we could do that right now. We could change some options. I think probably all the options. No. Yeah, I guess. So, that was the first little prologue. There is an issue here if you were going to skip cutscenes, that you would get through this game really, really fast. So, there's no reason why I would do that, but I do want to warn against it. So this next section will be the first part where you actually start to really play the game. You have less abilities, you're not as strong, and this is Team Little Angels, which is, I think, either the same team or a team that's going against a team that made Devil May Cry. This is effectively a Devil May Cry style game without that character, which is interesting, certainly. I originally played Bayonetta, made by Hideki Kamiya.
It looks like Humpty Dumpty's taking his last fall. Even old Eggman the Destroyer gets scrambled in the end, right? You know, I still don't get why the hell you drag me out here for these things. I just drop off the merchandise. Hey, bet you can't guess what today is. Reading the good Lord's book ain't gonna do much. People been waiting for this asshole to get whacked for ages. Please. Hell, look around. There's no love lost for old Humpty Dumpty. But you gotta keep the outfit happy. We don't take care of him, they take care of us. And I prefer my shoes made out of rubber, not concrete. But hey, it's that kind of town. Without good-hearted souls like us to put these bastards 6 feet under, where'd society be? Of course, the pay's not bad either. Jesus, you really get into this shit, don't you? If it were me, I'd be praying he ends up barbecued. Or at least sunny side up. You can keep praying, but the only way this guy's meeting the Lord is if God's hungry for breakfast. Speaking of hungry, we done here? My kids are baking me a birthday cake tonight. Cute little fuckers, I tell you what. Well then, adios.
May notice that the audio is out of sync. That's a reported bug. Hopefully they'll patch it soon.
What the fuck? They're here?
The subtitles are making it worse. The subtitles, I believe, are right.
This damn light. I can't see a thing. Oh, but they're there, ain't they? You hearing me? You can see them, can't you?
I see them. They are instruments of God, descending upon his heavenly rays to earth.
Oh my God!
Dear Lord, grant us guidance and keep safe the souls of our loved ones for all eternity.
So you see this book, it tells you what kind of angel you just saw. So the sound effects are interestingly still in sync, but the audio is slightly off. I wonder if it's due to the fact of it being PC and running faster than it should be. Might be better off just turning it to Japanese and turning on the subtitles at this rate.
Shit, forgive me, Hitman! I didn't mean all that Humpty Dumpty shit! I swear!
Eggman the Destroyer, by the way, is a reference to the Sonic villain, Eggman.
Next time you get your hands on me, you better make sure I'm dead. Now move out the way.
As a clear example of how off the cutscenes are.
If it ain't my good buddy Enzo, how about you get out of here? You die, and I'm gonna have to go back in that hole chasing after the money you owe.
Do you naughty little angels deserve a good spanking?
Beautiful.
And now we're to Bayonetta's classic witch outfit, which is partially or all made from her own hair or demon hair. So the guy is throwing guns through her portals to the different version of reality that overlaps the human world, so she can use them.
Now, this is cheeky. Throwing me these cheap toys.
Don't worry about quality. I've got quantity.
What's funny is the audio seems to speed up and slow down.
Putting you to the work. That was your last call. No more shots from me, Bayonetta.
As long as there's music, I'll keep on dancing.
So you may notice the song as a Frank Sinatra song, but it's being done in Japanese anime karaoke style. Most familiar and most recognizable from Neon Genesis Evangelion. So it's probably very, very familiar to people familiar with that. But boy, does that audio sync make the game seem awkward. Very, very awkward. I'll have to see if there's maybe a way to fix that. Now, we're in the tutorial section, but this tutorial section is also the loading section, so this might be the only point we get it. They want me to press Y to punch, and all you have to do is one Y will do a punch. But if you just keep tapping it, it works in an excellent system to unlock more combos. If you don't press 3 in a quick succession, it will just do different things. So that attack that I just did was just different timings of pressing Y. So is this. The only button I pressed right now is Y. And some of that may be easy mode too. So now they want to teach us the next button, which is kick, which is a slower, more powerful kick. It also is helpful if you're in the air to get down. And here's what you do normally when it's loading. And when this game originally came out, there certainly was a ton of loading in between sections. But as it stands now, there's hardly any. And see, each combination is available up to 6 or 7 different button presses between X, Y, and B. Now X has just this gun ability that is really more of a stall. So if I was to, say, knock this one up and then hit him in the air, it would keep him stunned and allow me to attack him. And take a look at how these angel monsters look. I feel like I didn't describe this game quite as accurately. Look at those reflections in the ground. It's, I suppose, really tantalizing for a couple of reasons. Now, the trick here is you're going to want to get very good at dodging. Let's see if this guy will attack here. And the reason why you want to get really good at dodging is because there is bonuses that score each level at the end and you can get a bonus for doing it under a ridiculously small amount of time, and you can get a bonus for taking no damage. But most importantly, when you dodge at the very last second, you unlock a witch time ability. And that allows you to move faster for a small amount of time and do a massive amount of damage. So before he even gets out of witch time, he can be dead. And that allows you to get even faster combos going. However, you have to keep an eye actually on the weapon, otherwise you'll just dodge. And if you actually mess up, Ronin here will fail you, but since I succeeded on the first try, it doesn't do that part. Which is odd, because I played this game several times in setting it up, and every single time I messed up the first attempt to dodge, and I got it on the first try this time. Alright, so Halos are the currency of the world, a rare spiritual metal containing the essence of an angel's life force. Use them in business transactions with Inferno, which Inferno is kind of the hell equivalent that's not quite hell in this world, in the same way that there's a heaven equivalent that's not quite the heaven you would imagine. Now, playing on easy, I just automatically did a witch time dodge without even pressing a button. Now, one of the things you have to be aware of is staying near the halos if you actually want to pick them up. Here I've stun locked a guy enough to do a punishing attack, which is kind of your middle kill move. And so we need to run around and pick up all these halos. The song will play throughout the whole thing, so I actually quite love this song, but If you don't, you won't want it. So you have guns on your feet and your hands, so you can hold the Y button to shoot with the hands. You can hold the B button to shoot with the feet. You can't pick specifically which hand or which feet, doesn't really matter. And you can also press the X button for a more consistent shoot. So where it may take you a little bit, there's a little bit of a delay to shoot here, it's an instant shoot here. So if you just need to stun lock something, that'll get it. These are little cherubs that I'm fighting right now, by the way. And if you do a circle in either direction and press B or Y, you will activate bullet climax mode, which is this. And now, once it's activated, I can just tap Y and spin around to do that. And I can do the same with the feet and do a handstand, which is quite silly and quite ridiculous, and clearly something that you've never probably seen in a video game before. And it's not just the tutorial, you can do it here. The only difference is slight difference in how the camera reacts. You may have noticed that in that prologue section there was these big hair foots coming out killing some of the angels, and you haven't seen that yet because we haven't unlocked that function yet. Go back to a cutscene.
I'm not dead yet! Not! You can't take me like this! It's against regulations, I tell you!
So, you have a choice to make in this section. You can either run around and destroy the headstones and potentially get more angel wings inside the destructible environment, or you can go for the speed and move to the next thing. You have a jump and a double jump, and the double jump gives you these nice butterflies. And now I'm on the other side of this, and there's actually nothing here, unless there is something here. Nope, I doubt it. So, let's jump down. And the car radio is broken.
Ah! Damn it, who did that? I just bought the damn thing!
Haven't you figured it out yet? There's no quarter for you in this world.
So let's see if we can break these the car more. That's probably not a main priority to break the car, but I would like to see if maybe I could do it. So here we've got a faster, a bigger enemy to defeat, and on easy he's no real challenge.
Should be paying me for
On
even
normal he's a
touching
little
these
bit.
toys.
You have any idea how much this is gonna cost to fix? How the fuck do I always get wrapped up in this shit?
I've forgotten how much cussing was in this.
Engine still purrs nicely. Now, about this little thing you've been looking into for me, Enzo. Let's have a quick chat.
See? This is why I told you I was going home. I just got held up in the air by some invisible things, and you want an intelligence briefing? It never stops with you!
You keep belly aching like that, and you're liable to wake Eggman from the dead. And I don't think either of you would like that. Catch you later, Bayonetta. Something tells me you're gonna need a rush on our special project before this shit hits the fan.
Wait, Rodan. What about Eggman?
Such a popular chap. I bet they hate him down there as much as you did when he was up here. We just need to make sure he won't come crawling back when they kick him out.
Nothing a flower bed can't fix. Fill her up.
You heard the man. Finish up in 5 minutes or you're walking home to your cake and candles.
What? Don't you leave me here!
So there would have been a point where I could have practiced. And I guess on the cheaper animations, the sync's not an issue. When there's no lips moving.
It's gonna take every cent I earned on this charade to pay for the damage. I tell you what, if I could see them bastards that did this to my car, forget about it.
Enzo, the road. Pay attention.
How can you be so calm? You're still getting screwed in all this too. Of all the low-life scum in too deep in this town, I've never seen one get wrapped up in a fight with God's messengers. Dressed like a nun too. When you end up in the afterlife, that's not going to be pretty.
I can't help it if I like the little outfits. The toys are nice too.
Sync seems to be working now.
20 years ago, you woke up stuck in a casket at the bottom of a lake. All you can remember is that you're a witch. But now, you're stuck because you gotta sacrifice our halo-wearing friends every day or they'll drag your ass back down to hell. I know, I thought I got screwed, but being forced to slap around the divine for a living, it's really getting screwed.
If I needed a biographer, you wouldn't be my first choice. I see to the funeral. You get me the information I asked for. That was our deal.
Come on now! Look at my poor car! I'm working for free after this! At least let me get a drink at Rodon's before you start grilling me. The info I got is good. It's gonna get you close to finding the other stone in the pair and figuring out some of that lost past of yours. I swear. After jewels instead of cash, just like a girl. Jesus, can't you take a joke?
Enzo, someone's given you a present. Too bad. I can't stand bugs.
Boy, is the story moving fast, considering there's only been 2 sections of actual gameplay. Bayonetta is an interesting artistic style that's lesser known in Japanese animation, where they're tall, strong women with, usually women with glasses. And she may have been one of the most prolific propagators of it, of that art style. So we're getting attacked again. Now we're in witch time, so that's what's going on the edges. Or, well, not in witch time actually, we're in the Paradiso, the heaven version of Earth. You may have to play this game a couple times just to be certain of what's going on.
You? What's the matter, Bayonetta? All that sleeping made you soft.
So I have 5 minutes to finish this section or I lose. And when I lock something up, I can do a torture attack by hitting Y and B at the same time. The torture attacks are the version of the punish that are even more powerful. And I just did 2 of the 3 that are necessary. And I have 4 more minutes in which I could take my time and fight. But I need to do 1 more or I'll lose. So let's do this. The torture attacks are always reminiscent of tortures that would have been done on the witches during the Salem witch trials and Inquisition. More than Inquisition even. Interesting artistic twist. So Bayonetta's met this girl who looks familiar, but she doesn't really know her. Notice there was a bullet in Bayonetta's gun. There wasn't one in the other girl's. So Bayonetta would have won that fight. So she's back now. No time had really moved, even though that was what she did, I guess. So these sections are just what you see in a longer version when you first start the game. It makes more sense to break them up and have some gameplay actually happen. Although, not a ton of gameplay is happening. There's a lot of setup here. Eventually we get into what I would call the actual first level, past the prologue.
Sure know how to get attention. Even perk the ears of
Notice there's a different version of the Fly Me to the Moon song playing on the radio.
You don't say.
It's getting harder and harder to tell the worlds apart. Human world. Inferno. Paradiso. Who can tell the difference?
Even harder with Purgatorio in the middle. Fight long enough in there and you'll really lose sight. Why the sudden interest in metaphysics?
It's a balance, right? Even if some of them like messing around with the humans, we've all got a stake in the status quo. But people keep fucking around like this, the Book of Revelations is gonna look like Mother Goose. Heaven and hell are gonna go straight for each other's throats.
Heaven and hell can tear each other to pieces for all I care. I've got my own problems to worry about.
Something's up. Everything was a bit too bracing. And Enzo's tip makes the timing too perfect.
Notice her hair is
This
just
reeks of a
clipping
setup.
through the table.
Someone in one of those
That's something
false
a newer
memories
version of
called
Bayonetta
it
should
route.
probably try to address in their animation engine. I've also noticed that some of her
I got
ribbons
a
are
present
clipping
for
through
you.
her shoulders
These babies are
sometimes.
special.
It's pretty common in games, older games particularly, to do that, though.
Built from an alloy the devil himself would kill to get his hands on. Don't break these, 'cause they're one of a kind.
So you get some good guns versus just regular guns. Boy, does this game have an interesting style. It sells itself on a different kind of style.
Calling me out? I don't go in for strange offers. Then again, I'm getting a little tired of these weaklings they keep throwing at me. Maybe I should aim for something a bit more high class.
Pounding them down tonight, baby. Not to butt into your affairs, but I'm pretty sure you got somewhere better to be. The guys you're up against aren't the type to wait for you to finish a round. Enzo, her drinks are going on your tab, buddy. You deadbeat motherfucker.
So all of that was the prologue, and if I had used any items, if I'd earned any items,
I should have been a pole dancer.
Interesting, then I would have taken a kind of significant reduction in my score. And this is very much a score-based game. You're going to play the small sections. You can see there's only 2 instances in the prologue at all. And in the first part, I got gold, I believe because I took a little bit of damage and 300 damage, perhaps. And in the next section, I took pure platinum, which is the highest rating possible because I didn't take any damage and I did it in a quick amount of time. So yeah, you can see the award bonus is 5,000 extra for using no item and 8,000 just for beating the section, I imagine, and that gave me the platinum award. I believe there's a pure platinum award that unlocks if you can get pure platinum on everything. That's a little bit above me. I could probably do it on very easy and possibly even on the second run through once my fingers had become more accustomed to playing the game. I could probably do it on easy, maybe even get somewhere close to pure platinum or platinums on normal. I don't think I'd ever really spend the effort to go to the hard or the very hard mode, which they call climax mode, though that's just too much work. What's interesting here is this game changes pretty quickly. So here we have a bonus section after each level that you'll always get called Angel Attack, just to give you something a little bit different to do. Also to probably help you hold your fingers off mashing the buttons for a little bit a while. This game in particular is going to potentially kill your fingers. There's a lot of button presses that need to happen really fast. There's definitely strategy here, but a lot of the strategy involves a lot of quick button presses. So all you have to do is aim at and fire at the angels to rank up high scores. For each arcade bullet in your possession, you may fire 3 times during the game, so each bullet you see is 3 shots. Hitting multiple angels, targets, or aiming and hitting vital points will earn you bonus points. If you set the high score on this machine, you'll be handsomely rewarded. So, develop and distribute your naughty friends. Developed and distributed by your naughty friends at PlatinumGames. So, it's just a right trigger, pull, but you can see with this angel, if I'm not careful, you'll miss, or you'll take a couple shots, and with a couple shots you'll only get a few points. So I got 23 points, which is not very high at all. To buy any item, you would need at least 30. And I can't afford any of it. So green lollipops, just so we can go through here. It will recover your vitality. Purple will recover your magic ability. And this will temporarily increase your attack power. And this one will create a shield for you. This thing increases your vitality drastically but it's only effective during the next chapter. The Golden Moon Pearl automatically recharges 2 segments of your magic gauge. This increases vast amounts of vitality, vast amounts of magical power, vast amounts of attack, and a barrier for a lot longer. Let's see. This is an automatic continue, the red hot shot, so if you die, you'll continue without having to go back. And this does a massive amount of damage to any nearby angels. I don't believe any of these are actually permanent, however. And if you play through the game multiple times, you'll end up getting and collecting more than enough of the items that you need to beat. So since I couldn't collect anything, however, I can just exchange it to angel halos, which I already have 1,392. Another 2,300 should put me at somewhere around 20,600 halos. And then you get this little toy map that shows where in the world you're going, because you kind of jump from place to place. And that was the prologue. So we are better off ending right here than doing anything different. We can certainly save the data. That would certainly be helpful. And we'll take this at 42 minutes of gameplay with a little bit more time spent to talk about the game and set up. I could certainly, I guess, go to chapter select and then play the game play the prologue a second time on a different difficulty. That would be a possibility. It's not something that you really need to know, though. Let's see. Leaderboard, award level. So I bet my wife, my firewall hasn't allowed it to access the internet, so I bet I can't load anything. But you might be able to see on the award level there's a stone award, a bronze award, a silver award, a gold award, a platinum award, and then a pure platinum award. So no less than 6 different award levels to do. And I don't think I can escape here. It's just going to constantly continue trying to load. Oh, it just took forever. Interesting. Or no. Either this is people hacking or this is a default setup, because you may notice these people have 0 time. This might just be people hacking, though. The top 100 people all beating the game in less than a few seconds, because that's hours, minutes, seconds in time there. And it's saying the number 100th person did it in 47.85 seconds. That's pretty ridiculous. Alright, well, we'll be back here for the next recording. As always, I end my episodes the same way. I ask you to like, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell so you get notifications. Comment and watch every second of my videos, because all of that helps me out and tells YouTube that my videos are worth watching. As a backup, I ask that you friend and follow me on any of the social medias that you might be on. I have links down below in the description for Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+. You can also friend me on Steam and Battle.net, and I would enjoy that also. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Bye.